Hello and welcome. The wait is finally over. We now have the first episode of the 100 Girlfriends Who Really Love You. And I have been waiting for this day for so long. This is my most anticipated anime of the entire year. And if you see my previous video about the 100 Girlfriends manga, then you might remember at one point I said, this series is more than likely going to take at least another decade or so to complete. But I will be here for it the whole way through. That isn't an exaggeration. I am planning to be here for this series all the way through. And so I'll answer any questions you may have right off the bat with yes. I am planning to make a video for every single episode of this series. 100 Girlfriends is my favorite manga, and it's not every day you see your favorite manga get an anime adaptation. So I want to go through each episode, give a quick synopsis, and mention what the anime might be doing differently than the manga. If you aren't aware, the 100 Girlfriends manga has no fourth wall, and plenty of meta jokes that really work in a manga setting but are pretty difficult to bring to other formats, which you'll see as the series progresses. Now, if you're worried about spoilers in these videos, I'll make sure I have no manga spoilers whatsoever. However, these videos are meant to be watched after you watch the most recent episode, and I will try my best to get them out in a timely manner after each episode airs. And part of the reason I'm doing this is because I want to spread my love of this series to all of you. These videos are going to be less edited than my normal ones, so I can get them out more quickly. And I'm still planning on making my usual non-100 Girlfriend videos as well. I've got several planned out throughout the season already. But let's get right into the episode. So already the adaptation is pretty faithful to the manga. It starts off just like the manga does, with Rentarou's 100th failed confession, and then friend A, yeah that's his name, shows up and tries to comfort him to limited success. I actually had a thought that maybe they wouldn't animate this scene because when friend A says that he's not gonna see Rentarou after today, that isn't an exaggeration. Because as of up to chapter 151 of the manga, friend A never shows up again. That's not even a spoiler because he tells you straight up you won't see him again. In fact, I'm pretty sure you got more time with him here than in the manga. Another thing I want to point out is that when Rentarou says he confessed his first love at 8 months old, they actually show a clip from the bonus chapter at the end of volume 1. So this gives me hope that the bonus chapters will be in the anime since some of them actually give really good character development. And then he goes to the shrine and the god of love shows up telling him that he'll have 100 soulmates. They did this part justice too, and I think I like it more in the anime here because the voice acting in general is excellent, and the love god sounds just like I thought he would. But this is where you really get to see the fourth wall breaks come into play. And when the love god complains about not enough time in episode 1, in the manga, he mentions how Rentarou is wasting manga pages. So there are going to be some differences, but if they get the meta jokes right in a different format, like they did here, then I have no doubt that future ones will be done well too. Also, when the love god complains that some lines were cut, it was only like 2, so it didn't really matter. Plus, I like how they actually show the name of the high school in the first episode. Because in the manga, you don't know the school's name until much later. And yes, the time skip is that abrupt in the manga too. This is not a series that wastes your time. Now, perhaps the most important part of the animation itself that I was looking forward to is the zing, or soulmate shock. In the manga, it's just a single panel with a lightning bolt effect, but they really did a number on it, and I think it looks so good. And hey, get used to seeing it because there will be a soulmate shock for every one of Rentarou's girlfriends. All 100 of them. So good job to Byberry for that. And here you're introduced to the first 2 girlfriends, Hakari Hanazono and Kurane Inda. You haven't seen much of them yet, but I like how you can already tell their personalities from the get-go. Kurane is a tsundere, and I can watch the animation of her running away like this again and again. and Hakari is a bit of a schemer when she's trying to get what she wants. I think my favorite joke in the whole first chapter was the 15 milliliters being too much and Rentarou trying to figure out how to drink 15 milliliters, and then when he does, she goes to drink for the indirect kiss and spills it everywhere. So when that happened, I was cracking up. Also, since I'm sure I get comments about this if I didn't mention it, yeah, I am aware of Hakari's beauty mark, and it might seem a bit goofy to point that out, but it is somewhat important to her character. So the two girls were looking for these pink four-leaf clovers. There's a rumor that they exist in the school's courtyard, and if you give one to someone else, they'll accept your confession of love. And even though they didn't find one, both girls confessed their feelings to Rentarou, making him really happy since that's never happened to him before, but now he's got a dilemma on who to choose. Also, I don't have a way to verify this, but according to a comment I saw on Reddit, when Rentarou says there will be a short break, they actually cut to commercial in the Japanese broadcast on TV, which gives me hope that the anime will have some original fourth wall breaks. So we see Rentarou unable to make a decision and go back to the shrine to consult the love god about it. I have to admit, I wasn't too clear in the manga that he actually went back to the shrine. I just thought that the love god showed up in Rentarou's room, and this is where the love god tells Rentarou that if he fails to love any of his destined soulmates, then they'll die. And the reason given why Rentarou has 100 soulmates is because the love god was too busy watching TV. Now, here's something interesting. I'm not too familiar with parity law in Japan, but I've heard that it's a lot stricter than in America. I don't really have a source for this, but it explains how they're able to straight up have a Tokyo Ghoul reference, and the Miyazaki film reference was slightly altered and blurred. So it looks like some of the references might be changed a little bit because there are a lot in this series. But hey, if they're able to have Tokyo Ghoul name dropped and Kaneki Ai and everything, I have no doubt that they'll have a lot of fun with the production here. So after all that, he comes up with a plan to date one of them at a time in secret, but knocks some sense into himself and confesses his love to both of them at the same time and says he wants to date them both. And I agree with the reasoning because, yeah, dating in secret might save their lives, but they're gonna find out about it. You'd be a total scumbag for doing something like that. You might as well be honest with them. So despite finding the proposition unusual, both Hakari and Kurane accept his love confession after seeing how sincere he is after he presents them with the pink four-leaf clovers that he spent all night searching for. And I'm really happy with how they did this scene because the end of every manga chapter, you can see Rentarou's face holding the pink four-leaf clovers. It's one of the most iconic moments of the whole series. And then the episode ends with the three embracing, and I'm so glad they chose a narrator they did, because I wouldn't say the narrator's importance is on the same level as Kaguya-sama, but yeah, the narrator will have some great moments in the future. And there we have it, episode 1 is done. My expectations are high and have been exceeded. This was such a great first episode. The art style is gorgeous and the animation quality is pretty decent. I'm not expecting Demon Slayer here, but you can tell that Byberry Studios clearly is putting a lot of effort into this. Also, the ED is so smooth. It actually reminds me of the ED for More Than a Married Couple, but not Lovers, and that ED is like in my top 3 favorite EDs ever. Might actually be my favorite, so a good choice. The music overall is excellent, especially when it came to Rentarou's confession at the end. The soundtracks that played for Hakari and Kurane during some of their scenes were the ones played in their character PV trailers, and it makes me think that each character will have their own soundtrack associated with them. But when we get a lot more of the future girlfriends, it might be toned down a bit, understandably so. I'd like to also point out that the voice actors did a great job. The Love God is more of a minor character, but he has the perfect voice I imagine for him, and he's voiced by Shigeru Chiba. Also, if I mispronounce the Japanese names, I'm really sorry. I don't speak Japanese, so apologies in advance for future names. But Chiba also voices Kuwabara in Yu Yu Hakusho and Buggy D Clown in One Piece. Kurane's voice actress is Mio Tomita, who voiced Miko Ino in Kaguya-sama, which is the exact voice I hear from her far, and I'm more than happy with that. Perfect casting right there. Hakari is voiced by Kaide Hondo, who I'm not as familiar with, but she did voice Eiko from Ya Boy Kongming, which is a great series. And lastly, Rentarou is voiced by Wataru Kato, who's a pretty recent voice actor, but he just had his first major voice acting role with Toka Scott from The Legendary Hero is Dead. And if you're familiar with either series, you should know that Toka and Rentarou are the complete opposite of one another. And Rentarou is going to be a tough job for anyone to do, as you'll see in the future. But he does an amazing job here, and he's fully committed to this role, so props to him. Overall, I really love this episode. Excellent first impression to what's gonna come next. Normal videos will still continue in this channel like I mentioned earlier, and I'll make these recap / analysis / reaction / review, however you want to call them, relatively short in the future too, so I can get them made more effectively. Also, if you're interested in reading along with the manga, then I'll let you know at the end where the anime leads up to. But so far, episode 1 only adapts chapter 1, which is what I was hoping for, since that's the longest chapter in the series. So I hope you all enjoy this video and 100 Girlfriends in general. I'm looking forward to the next episode. Can't wait to see you there.